Hello and welcome to a review of the latest Doctor Who action figure set from Character Options. Now here we have the second Doctor and Tardis set from the Abominable Snowmen. Now as we can see, this comes in a Character Options shipping box, much like the Jungles of Mechanus set from last year. I'm guessing this is basically just to give the inner boxes a bit of added protection, as these are obviously aimed primarily at collectors. So yeah, standard kind of just shipping box. I mean, there wasn't actually an outer box over the top of this, so I don't think they actually just put these in the post as they are. So yeah, basically if we open this up, that's the wrong end. And here we have it. Now this has actually come amazingly quickly. I mean, this went up for pre-order on Tuesday and I don't think anybody really expected to get it till about August, and yet here we are 2 days later. So yeah, I've never known such quick service. I know the Jungles and Mechanus sets were fairly quick, but I don't think they were quite this quick. So yeah, I mean, as a collector that's great. Usually you wait an eternity for stuff like this, so to actually for it to go up an order and to have it in hand a few days later, I mean, that's unprecedented really. Now as we can see, anybody who's bought any of the B&M sets from the last few years, and obviously you'll notice it's a very similar sort of style. The box for this is slightly bigger than the B&M TARDIS sets. I'm guessing it's because it's an online exclusive, so they're not limited maybe to a particular size for shelf space. Maybe also to give as it's a slightly bigger figure maybe than the normal ones, maybe to give it slightly more room to breathe maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but as I say, it looks great in the box. Obviously we can see the diorama in the background a bit better. Usually they're pretty much covered up by the toys, so maybe that's the reason the packaging is a bit larger. Now they've actually put the TARDIS in this on a bit of an angle, which I'm not really too sure about that. I think what you find anyway is the way the B&M sets are done, the figures, the TARDIS always seem to be off at an angle anyway, so I'm not sure that they needed to do that intentionally. But as I say, I suppose it's in the story I think it landed on a hill, so it's possibly accurate. So yeah, I'll get this opened up and we'll take a closer look. So here we have the figures out the box. We'll take a look at the second Doctor figure first. So this is the first ever figure of the second Doctor in his fur coat. Now anybody who's followed the fortunes of the Doctor Who figure range over the years may have seen an image of this before. I think about 10 years ago or so an image of this leaked sort of online. The rumour has it that this figure was originally going to be part of a re-release of the 11 Doctors set. They were going to do variants of the various Doctors. I think another one was a Richard Hurndall First Doctor. But for whatever reason that set never actually saw the light of day. So most fans thought we'd never actually see this figure. Now the original version I think was based on the 5 Doctors, whereas this is more the sort of the paint deco is based on the Abominable Snowmen. This led to a lot of fans speculating that Character were going to re-release this in a B&M set as the 5 Doctors version, which when I heard that I thought, well, it's a bit of a cheat, kind of making everybody pay for this if we're going to get a sort of very similar figure later. But actually Character have come out and confirmed and said this won't be in any B&M set anytime soon, and there's no plans for a 5 Doctors version, so this could be the one and only chance to actually get this figure. Now anybody who follows Character Options Doctor Who figures will obviously know that there's a certain amount of economy goes on with things like reuse of parts and that sort of thing. Basically, in a nutshell, action figure production is very expensive. To actually create the moulds for new parts is very costly. So basically, when companies are doing a lot of repaints and things, it'll be for one reason. It's because if they can reuse a mould, the figures are far cheaper to produce than they would be if they had to create a new mould for new parts. So even this figure, which looks like a new figure, does actually reuse a lot of parts from the original second Doctor. So we've got one here for comparison. This is the one from the 11 Doctors set. Obviously the head sculpt is the same. Legs have been reused. You can see the torso under there. So all they've done, basically, this jacket has been swapped out for the fur coat piece. And the major investment here is the new arms. That'll be where most of the money is. But no, overall, it's this is actually the only second Doctor variant they've done. Most of the figures we've had are just simple repaints of this version. So this is the first one with actual new sculpting. So yeah, it's good to have more sort of Troughton figures in the collection. As regards likenesses, I think the new one slightly has the edge over this one. I can see a bit more Troughton in this. Maybe there's possibly it's time for a new Troughton head sculpt, maybe. I always felt this one didn't quite capture Troughton, but it could be to do with the paintwork, so I'm definitely seeing more Troughton in this one, and as I say, it is just the same sculpt. So often, where a lot of the time the sculpt can be let down by the sort of paintwork. Obviously the new one doesn't have the recorder accessory, but I don't think that's a sort of major issue. So we'll move on to the TARDIS now. So this is actually based on the prop as it looked in the Abominable Snowmen. I'm not really an expert on all the little changes and things. I hadn't even noticed this till it was pointed out, but obviously the phone panel is on the other side, which is apparently how it looked in the story and around that sort of period. So this has obviously involved a bit of retooling by character options. I don't know quite how they've done this, because obviously the general framework is obviously reused on all the TARDISes, so I'm guessing they wouldn't want to alter the mould too much. But yeah, this look with no handle and reversed sort of phone panel is accurate to the story. I've got here the last year's release of the War Games TARDIS for comparison. So as we can see, panel on different sides, no door handle, obviously different position of lock. I think, if I'm honest, I'm edging slightly towards the War Games version as my preferred one, but it's, as I say, the new one is still decent. As I say, it's got this slightly wishy-washy paint job, which, I don't know, a lot of people have liked it, but I'm not sure I'm totally sold on it. But obviously, the edge this one has is obviously we have the light and sound effects, so it's a bit of a toss-up between the two, really. But yeah, as I say, we'll take a look now at the various electronic features. So, as with this is the first electronic TARDIS in about 10 years, I think. Obviously the B&M sets, because they're done on a budget, there isn't obviously they can't incorporate the electronics for that price point, but they are basically the same models. But yeah, these as with the old TARDISes, these are activated by just sort of lifting up. There we go. So I believe I think I heard there was about 6 different effects. I think the older ones only had 2, so they've obviously reworked the sound chips in these. But yeah, as I say, it's great, really. I mean, these. Sometimes I have to pinch myself that we do have Doctor Who toys like this, because obviously as a kid I grew up in the 80s. There was just nothing. I mean, we eventually got the Dapol figures, but there was always a tinge of disappointment with those. They were just. I'd grown up with things like Star Wars and Masters of the Universe, and they just didn't square up. There was always that chasm of wanting decent quality Doctor Who sort of toys, and they just weren't available. It's only with the new series that's made it all possible, really. I'm not a new series fan, but I think the one good thing to come out of it is that the interest has created the market where things like this can be made, which I don't think there would have been otherwise. But yeah, as I say, just the Doctor Who toys that you dreamed of as a child, it's kind of filled that chasm. But yeah, this TARDIS, like all the newer models, has the revised smaller base. Just as a comparison, we've got one of the older Forbidden Planet sort of TARDISes, and you can see the base size difference. So I'm guessing that this new sort of size base is a sort of permanent addition. So yeah, overall, as I say, all in all, a very nice set, and say well worth grabbing. As of today, this was nearly sold out. I think there was a couple of 100 units left last time I looked, so that's a record really for something to sell out that quick, and hopefully bodes well for the future of the line. As I say, we can only hope that Character will continue to make exclusive and invest in sort of new sort of tooling. Hopefully the market does prove there is a market for this stuff. Maybe a crowdfunding models to be considered for sort of more some of the more niche or difficult to produce items. But as I say, I think things are certainly looking brighter for the toy range than they were a few years ago. So yeah, that's it basically. As I say, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully be reviewing the B&M sets when they come out. As I say, they're heavily rumoured to be hitting in maybe late this month or early August, so as soon as I have those I'll post a review obviously on the page. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned.